The following podcast is a deep, shallow dive production.
And you're going to love it.
Okay, let's go.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Hope you had a great day yesterday. Hope the week is off to a good start. Hump day today. Anyway, listen, not a long episode today. Honestly, I wanted to just kind of capture a few things that are on my mind right now more than anything. I was not going to put this out today because I know I put out a longer guest interview with Elijah Kallenberg yesterday. Honestly, if you didn't get a chance to listen to that episode, I think you really should, whether it's during the week or on the weekend. But man, he is a super smart and interesting 21-year-old kid that's really been involved in, activism, and he comes at this Jewish-Palestine situation from such a unique perspective because he is Jewish. He is part of this Gen Z movement, which is insane when it comes to, their activism and their definition of right versus wrong. So anyway, just a little plug for that episode because, again, I think he does a incredibly good job of just explaining a lot of things. All right, that's that. Moving on. Man, I am honestly just a little bit concerned about the next several months. I really am. And I'm also concerned about the next several weeks. And I hope I am so wrong about this. I mean, I've been wrong about a lot of things, but I hope I am so ridiculously wrong about what I'm about to say. But I'm going to say it because, I don't know, I just have this crappy gut feeling that I think something weird is going to happen at the Olympics. I really do. I think something weird is going to happen at the Olympics. The Olympics, as you know, kicks off, I believe, Friday. Yeah, it starts Friday, July 26th, and then it ends on Sunday, August 11th in Paris. I don't know, man. I feel like something weird is going to happen. I really do. And I'll tell you why. A couple reasons. One is I think that, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Adidas, the sneaker brand Adidas or the lifestyle brand Adidas, they used Bella Hadid. She's one of the famous Hadid model sisters who is an unbelievably big supporter of Palestine because they're Palestinian, I think on the dad's side, maybe on the mom's side. No, I think on the dad's side, yeah. And anyway, so they did this huge ad campaign where they had her promoting a shoe. It's like the Adidas Samba. And then the Samba, I remember those shoes actually, big soccer shoes growing up. But the Samba, I guess, launched in the Munich Olympics, I believe in 1972. Hold on, let me check that. Yeah, 1972 Olympics in Munich. So they did an ad campaign with Bella Hadid that basically was featuring like the Samba from that Olympics. Now, if you don't remember, the 1972 Munich Olympics was the Olympics that I think 11 Israeli athletes were killed, and it was marred by basically a Palestinian resistance group or terrorist group. I don't even think the word terrorist was used that much in 1972. Actually, I don't even know. I wasn't born yet. Oh, you know what? It was September, so I was 1 month old. Anyway, let me just read this so you understand. So they put out a major ad campaign, which obviously costs millions and millions of dollars. And then in the ad, and I quote, Hadid wears shoes modeled after Adidas's SL72 sneakers, a design used at the 1972 Summer Games that were overshadowed by tragedy when members of the Palestinian group Black September killed 2 athletes from Israel's national team. Adidas, a German company, and Hadid received backlash for the ad. So, the whole ad was just, so ridiculous that you would even do this. Why? First of all, why put out an ad that, references such an awful and controversial, and again, just awful Olympics, being that Munich one in 1972. Secondly, we're coming up on like 300 days since October 7th, and obviously the stuff that happened in Gaza and Israel and all that. And so in the ad, you're using probably one of the most famous Palestinians in the world, if not the most famous, to be honest with you, being Bella Hadid and her sister Gigi, although Gigi wasn't in the ad, but Bella's in the ad. So, like, who the hell thought this was a good idea? You know, this is the stuff that's weird to me. Like, I can't imagine anyone at that high level of marketing at Adidas, let alone all the way up to the chief marketing officer or the CEO or anyone in the C-suite, or to be honest with you, anyone who's even a marketing coordinator. Like, how does anyone think this is a good idea and a good ad to have run when we're in the situation that we are in? Quite frankly, even if October 7th never happened and none of the past 10 months in Gaza had happened, it's still not a great ad to run because, again, the 1972 Olympics were marred by, that terrible tragedy where, again, I don't care what side of whatever you come on, it's not right when athletes lose their lives at the Olympics. Like, come on, everyone has to agree that that is not right, and I don't care if they were Israeli or Palestinian or from Iran or from the US or whatever. They're athletes going to the Olympics to carry out their dream, and they got killed. That's awful. That is like absolutely awful. So tragic. So even if none of October 7th ever happened and we weren't in any of this chaos, it's still a horrible ad and a horrible idea. Let alone the fact that we are in all this chaos. October 7th did happen. There has been all of this media, everything in regards to it. And then you pick the most famous Palestinian and one of the most vocal Palestinian people to feature in the ad. Like, who thought that was a good idea? That's just ridiculous. And again, I know they say, hey, all publicity is good publicity. And obviously, if they spent, $5-10 million on the campaign, they've garnered way more than that in publicity. But I don't agree with that all publicity is good publicity thing. I really don't. I've never agreed with that. I don't think that's the right look. I don't think that's the right optics. I think consumers are more intelligent than they're given credit for. And even though this thing really has been in the news quite a bit, it's just to me it's not a good look. And honestly, like, I don't even get mad at Bella Hadid that much. I really think Adidas was pretty scummy in putting this out. I really do. And for me personally, it absolutely will probably make me not buy Adidas anymore because it was calculated. You know what I mean? Like, it was calculated what they did. Like, you can't tell me that high-level marketing executives, let alone, quite frankly, low-level marketing executives, are sitting around a table and no one raises their hand and says, hey guys, by the way, is this really a good idea? Like, should we really put out something using the most famous Palestinian person probably in the world right now to be the spokesperson for a shoe that is commemorating, the tragedy that took place at the Olympics, where now that I look at it, 17 people died in what they call the Munich massacre. I mean, that's insane. 17 people died at that. 11 members of the Israeli Olympic team, 5 of the Palestinian terrorists, and 1 German police officer. And by the way, Adidas is a German company. So, like, who in fuck's sake thought that was a good idea to release this ad? It just blows me away. I have such a hard time thinking executives would think it was. Therefore, to me, I mean, again, I'm sorry, it gets me thinking, okay, this is, I don't know, predictive programming, or it's some way to bring this from the unconscious into the conscience. And again, that's weird to me. It's just weird to me. I don't want to get all philosophical or theoretical about it. It's just weird to me. It's weird to me that they did it. I think the whole thing is strange, in such bad taste. And so, again, I don't know. I hope I am so wrong about this. I really do. I've never wanted to be wrong about anything more than I want to be wrong about this. But all I'm going to say is I just think something weird is going to happen at the Olympics. I'm going to leave it at that. Anyway, let's move on to the Biden, Harris, Trump, all that stuff. Oh man, I'm not kidding. I'm a little bit defeated today. I really am. I'm a little bit concerned about everything. And let me talk about a few things. I will say from the episode on Monday, I mean, man, I mean, Kamala Harris is the nominee. I think any thoughts that it could have been Gavin Newsom, which honestly is what I thought, I'm not going to lie, or Hillary Clinton, which the rumor mill was circulating that it could have been her or it could be her. And you had prominent people saying that it was going to be her. I think all that stuff got completely shut down in such a fast amount of time. Like within 24 hours, it seemed like the cavalry had absolutely surrounded and anointed Kamala as the one. So I can't see that changing. Like I can't see something weird happening at the national convention that takes away from that, because I already feel like they're already so far down the line. I mean, pretty much everyone and their mother have endorsed her. Even, I don't know why George Clooney's opinion matters so much. I really don't, but he came out and endorsed her. So like the stars are all aligning literally and figuratively in that sense. Nancy Pelosi came out, the big Democrats came out. I said this on Monday, Obama did not come out and endorse her directly, but somebody pointed out to me afterward that that's kind of his MO, because he didn't do that in 2020 when Biden was running until they got through the primaries, or until they got through a point. And I said, well, why is that? They said, well, Obama is the guy that endorses the process. So he wants to put weight and faith in the quote unquote process. And so he's not going to come out early to endorse any candidate like he didn't do in 2020, if you remember that. So I think that's kind of his role. So that makes sense. But again, I do think that it's pretty, I can't imagine they move in a different direction than Kamala. So it's going to be Kamala. Who the VP is. Now there's rumors swirling that the VP is going to be Hillary. Anyway, we'll talk all about that in later episodes. But I think the country is going to go through such turmoil over the next 3 or 4 months. I think it's going to be, the rhetoric is going to be dialed up. The hate is going to be dialed up. Now you've got a black woman running versus a white man. Like, it's going to get bad. I think it's going to get bad. I think it's going to be way worse than even 2020, because in 2020, there was obviously, COVID to deal with. So you had all of that as well as the craziness of the election. I don't think anything like COVID is going to happen. The only thing that, again, I can't have a weird guttural feeling about is some type of religious war. And, maybe that's where my bad feeling about the Olympics comes into play, where it's like, okay, is there going to be something done by, Islamic groups at the Olympics, because there's a big controversy that, they wanted the Olympic Committee to not allow the Israeli athletes to participate in the Olympics, which again, I don't agree with that. I really don't, and I'm sorry to say that for all that do agree with that, because again, I don't consider athletes as being the countries and the politicians in those athletes. And these athletes have trained their entire lives to get to the Olympics. I don't think it's fair to take that away from them because of what, politicians and their governments are doing. So I don't agree with that either. But because of that, I don't know. I just have such a weird vibe. And I think that if there was, I've talked about a few times about there being this, religious holy war between, Christians and Jews on one side and then Muslims on the other. I don't know. Maybe an unfortunate event at the Olympics kicks that off, but I hope not. I hope I'm wrong about that as well. But I do think the country of the United States, because of this division that is just going to get greater. It's just going to get greater. I mean, you thought Biden versus Trump in 2020 was bad. That's two white dudes. That's two old white dudes going against each other. Now you've got a black woman, versus a white man. And really, Trump obviously is a lightning rod, but even Kamala on the other side for Republicans and conservatives, she's a lightning rod for them because of the border. The number one thing that she was responsible for as vice president was the border. And, again, you have to call a spade on this. And I'll get into that in a second. But the border is a complete failure. It's an absolute failure. The United States southern border is a complete failure. And everybody recognizes that now. And for the first 3 years, she completely paid zero attention to her number one priority. And look at the results. I mean, it's a mess. It's a complete mess. So they're going to get vitriol about her and that's going to be the thing. They're also going to bring up a lot, and I'll play this in other episodes. I seriously am really defeated today. I'm not even going to lie. I'm definitely, rattled. It's very rare that when I'm rattled, I've been rattled a lot in my life. I can't say behind the microphone that much, but I was going to wait and record once I don't know, felt a little more settled, but I was like, screw it. I'm just going to fucking do it. I'm just going to record, my raw feelings. And these are my raw feelings. These are absolutely my raw feelings. So anyway, there's that. I did want to finish with, just a couple more thoughts. And, this Trump, I posted this on Instagram. It was an interesting graphic. I made it myself. I said, Trump derangement syndrome versus Trump worship syndrome. And I can't remember if I talked about it on Monday. I think I did, actually. Anyway, they're both super real. And this derangement syndrome, I have friends who are Trump deranged. It doesn't matter what I say to them or how I try to say it or how I try to position it or what angle I try to get them to look at. It's never going to work. And then I've got friends that are Trump worshipers, and it doesn't matter. I mean, that one in particular, as recent with his speech from last Thursday, I try to have really, really intellectual and non-emotional conversations with them about the speech. I played for them, my version of the speech, and I tried to say, hey, how do you not agree? Like, why would you not want him to come out and just tone it down and win over fans and win over votes? Like, don't you want that? And again, it was like, no, that's not him. That we love him for exactly how it is. So like that Trump worship syndrome, that's a real thing too. And it's a mess. And it's made me realize just how polarized and divisive this country is right now in terms of politics. I need to try and talk to some people in various countries to see what their views are on this and whether they view it as polarizing as we, probably not because they're not in it, but I am honestly, I'm very disheartened at the ability for not only people to think for themselves and leverage their own common sense, but I'm honestly disheartened as to whether, honestly, someone like myself who really tries very hard to I don't even want to say be in the middle, because I'm not trying to be in the middle. I just am in the middle. Like, I'm not trying to add common sense. That's just how I think, like I think of this as common sense so I can call out all the nonsense on both sides. But I'm getting to a point where I don't know if there's an audience for that. Like, I really don't. I hope there is. I truly do. I truly hope there is an audience for this. But man, there's just such polarity. I don't even know if that's a word, but there's just such division. And it's like, I'm really, really losing faith in that middle ground, but it's gotta be there. Like, it has to, it just has to. I don't understand how people can just believe everything that their side says and does. And that includes what's going on with President Biden, like the whole COVID thing they announced. There's no way. I feel like that was totally fake. I really do. I think that was a way to keep him away from the media for several days. They announced it on Thursday. Keep Biden out of the media light so they could do whatever they want. And then that's what happened on Sunday. He didn't have to meet with anybody or talk to anybody Friday or Saturday after Trump gave his speech. They probably, honestly, now that I think about it, they probably announced that, and I forget if that was announced Thursday or Friday, but they probably did it, like I said, just to kind of have a alibi to keep him isolated, literally and figuratively, and not have to worry about him doing anything, so they could think through what their moves are. And their moves, became obvious Sunday with, again, he releases that letter initially on Twitter, on X, and then through social media. It's not like he came out and gave a press conference because he couldn't, because he quote unquote had COVID. Anyway, I think all that was ridiculous. I really do. And I don't think it was authentic. And everything that's happened since, I think he is finally addressing the country tonight, which is Wednesday night. So, oh man, we'll see. All right. I'm sorry to be Debbie Downer this episode. I really am. I'm really sorry to be Debbie Downer, but you know what? I wasn't going to do this. And then I just was like, you know what? I should do this. I should capture. Not everything needs to be so structured and scripted. Not really scripted, but not everything needs to be so planned out and positive all the time. I mean, this is seriously like super, super raw. I've barely stopped the recording in this episode. I think I stopped it once just to check, or twice just to check a couple facts on the Munich Olympics stuff. But all right, call a spade a spade. Oh my God. All right, I'm gonna go for a run. I'm gonna go sweat it out and get myself in a better state of mind. All right. Call a spade, everybody.
The ending was terrific.
This episode was brought to you by the new book Deep Shallow Dive Into You, available now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble in hardcover and paperback. Don't forget to sign up for our new mailing list on our website at deepshallowdive.com.